if we were the typical company and had bought that business and tried desperately to use all the retained earnings within the candy business, I think we'd have fallen on our face. I think that it just illustrates that all these formulas you learn, or that having a strategic plan to use all the capital. Some businesses work in a fairly limited area. Others really play out over this. Dr. Pepper, has I don't know what the percentage is now, but it might be a 10 or 12% market share or something like that in Dallas, or maybe it's 8. And then you go to Detroit or Boston, and it's less than 1%. I'm not sure about the numbers currently, but you'd think in a mobile society, with Dr. Pepper having been around since the time Coke was founded in 1886, it's amazing how certain things travel, certain things don't travel. The candy bars, you mentioned Hershey. I mean, Cadbury doesn't do that well here, and Hershey doesn't necessarily do that well in the UK. And here we are, we all look alike, but somehow we eat different candy bars. It's very interesting to observe, and the idea that you have some formula for businesses that provide that each one should pursue the course they're on because they made it in X, they should try to find other ways to make it in X. We're quite willing to find it in A, B, C, D, E, or F, which is like the money is fungible. And I think actually it's worked very much to our advantage to have that philosophy. So, anything further, Charlie?
I once told a very great man at dinner after he'd written a very great book, I said, you're never going to write another great book like that. And he was deeply offended. And I've read his 4 subsequent books, and I'm totally right. To write one great book is a lot to do in one lifetime. And the people aren't holding back on you when they don't do more. It's hard.
Yeah, but you ought to make the most of the first one you got.
Yes.
Yeah, you're lucky.
Yes.
We were very fortunate. I would have blown the chance to buy See's Candy, but Charlie said, "Don't be so cheap," basically, and we still got it at a pretty good price. And
it's amazing how much we've learned over the years.
Yeah,
and if we hadn't, the record would be so much worse.
Yeah.
At any given time, what we already knew was not going to be enough to take us to the next step. That's what makes it difficult. Think of all the people you know that have tried to take one extra step and have fallen off a cliff.
Well, on that happy note, we will conclude the meeting. And Thank you. Thank you. Save. Thank you. Save. Thank you, but save some of it for next year. We may need it then. So that, yeah, just give us a carry forward on the rest of it. And thank you. We'll come back at 3:45. We will conduct the business of the meeting, and we have nothing on the proxy to vote on, but we will be back here in 15 minutes. And if you enjoy a process, you can stick around and watch us re-elect our board. Thank you. Thanks for coming. The meeting will now come to order. I'm Warren Buffett, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the company, and I welcome you to this 2019 Annual Meeting of Shareholders. This morning I introduced the Berkshire Hathaway directors that are present. Also with us today are partners in the firm of Deloitte & Touche, our auditors. Jennifer Talentis is Assistant Secretary of Berkshire Hathaway, and she will make a written record of the proceeding. Becky Amick has been appointed Inspector of Elections at this meeting, and she will certify to the count of votes cast in the election for directors and the motions to be voted upon at this meeting. The named proxy holders for this meeting are Walter Scott and Mark Hamburg. Does the Assistant Secretary have a report of the number of Berkshire shares outstanding, entitled to vote, and represented at the meeting? Jennifer?
Yes, I do. As indicated in the proxy statement that accompanied the notice of this meeting that was sent to all shareholders of record on March 6, 2019, the record date for this meeting, there were 724,765 shares of Class A Berkshire Hathaway common stock outstanding, with each share entitled to one vote on motions considered at the meeting, and 1,371,697,551 shares of Class B Berkshire Hathaway common stock outstanding, with each vote entitled to 1/10,000th of one vote on motions considered at the meeting. Of that number, 503,181 Class A shares and 839,707,642 Class B shares are represented at this meeting by proxies returned through Thursday evening, May 2nd.
Thank you. That number represents a quorum, and we will therefore directly proceed with the meeting. First order of business will be a reading of the minutes of the last meeting of shareholders, and I recognize Mr. Walter Scott, who will place a motion before the meeting.
I move that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting of shareholders be dispensed with and the minutes be approved.
Do I hear a second?
I second the motion.
The motion has been moved and seconded. We will vote on the motion by voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. The next item of business is to elect directors. If a shareholder is present and who did not send in a proxy or wishes to withdraw a proxy previously sent in, you may vote in person or for the election of directors and other matters to be considered in this meeting. Please identify yourself to one of the meeting officials in the aisle so that you can receive a ballot. I recognize Mr. Walter Scott to place a motion before the meeting with respect to election of directors.
I move that Warren Buffett, Charles Munger, Greg Abel, Howard Buffett, Stephen Burke, Susan Decker, William Gates, David Gottesman, Charlotte Guyman, Ajit Jain, Thomas Murphy, Ronald Olson, Walter Scott, and Merle Whitmer be elected as directors.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that Warren Buffett, Charles Munger, Greg Abel, Howard Buffett, Steve Burke, Susan Decker, Bill Gates, David Gottesman, Charlotte Guyman, Ajit Jain, Tom Murphy, Ron Olson, Walter Scott, and Merrill Whitmer be elected as directors. Are there any other nominations or any discussion? The nominations are ready to be acted upon. If there are any shareholders voting in person, they should now mark the ballot on the election of directors and deliver that ballot to one of the meeting officials in the aisles. Ms. Amick, when you're ready, you may give your report.
My report is ready. The ballot of the proxy holders in response to proxies that were received through last Thursday evening cast not less than 543,703 votes for each nominee. That number exceeds a majority of the number of the total votes of all Class A and Class B shares outstanding. The certification required by Delaware law of the precise count of the votes will be given to the Secretary to be placed with the minutes of this meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Amick. Warren Buffett, Charles Munger, Greg Abel, Howard Buffett, Steve Burke, Susan Decker, Bill Gates, David Gottesman, Charlotte Guyman, Ajit Jain, Tom Murphy, Ron Olson, Walter Scott, and Merrill Whitmer have been elected as directors. We now have a motion from Walter Scott.
I move the meeting be adjourned.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. We will vote by voice. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. I hope I see you next year.